Most people believe illegal trade works like a Hollywood movie: fast boats, hidden tunnels, or shadowy gangsters moving packages in the night. But the real world works differently. Behind every crime you hear about, behind every war you watch unfold, and behind every government pretending to fight smuggling, there exists a hidden global infrastructure. A system so vast, so quietly efficient, that it moves an estimated $2 trillion worth of illegal goods every single year without most people ever noticing. And the real mystery isn't how criminals move this money and merchandise, but how they do it so easily right under the nose of the world's most powerful nations. To understand how the secret roots of illegal trade formed, we must go back centuries long before cartels, before modern intelligence agencies, and even before the nation-state. Ancient traders moved spices, gold, salt, and slaves across deserts and oceans, using networks that operated outside official power. These traders weren't criminals in the modern sense. They were simply the only ones who could deliver what kings, empires, and wealthy elites wanted quickly and quietly. And, ironically, it was these early underground merchants who built the first criminal supply chains, long before the word smuggling existed. Their roots were shaped by geography, corruption, and the simple logic of human greed. If demand exists, someone will supply it. As empires expanded, their armies needed weapons, their rulers needed luxuries, and their treasuries needed gold. But official trade routes were slow, taxed, and tightly controlled. So an alternative network emerged, one that crossed borders unofficially, forged relationships with local tribes, and moved goods using shifting paths that authorities could never fully map. These routes became the backbone of illegal trade for centuries to come, from the Silk Road's hidden bypasses to Mediterranean pirate ports, from Saharan caravans trading salt for gold to the jungles of Southeast Asia. An entire shadow world evolved, and governments quietly tolerated it, because as long as rulers got what they want, the exotic goods, secret information, or revenue from unofficial middlemen, they looked the other way. But everything changed in the 20th century, when three forces collided: global war, industrialization, and prohibition. World War II revealed something shocking. Traditional supply chains could be destroyed overnight. So alternative routes off the books, deniable and covert, became valuable. The Allies and Axis powers both used smugglers, black market dealers, and criminal networks to move fuel, weapons, and intelligence. When the war ended, the networks didn't disappear. They simply shifted to the highest bidder. Then came the era of bans: banned drugs, banned goods, banned currencies. Whenever governments outlawed something, they accidentally created a booming shadow industry. Opium routes through Asia expanded because colonial powers demanded control. Weapons routes exploded during the Cold War because both superpowers used proxies, armies, and militias they couldn't officially supply. Illegal trade wasn't just tolerated, it became a political tool. This is where the modern criminal routes we recognize today began to take shape. First came the triangular routes: drugs flowing north, weapons flowing south, and cash flowing silently back across borders. Then came the maritime dark fleets, unregistered ships with multiple identities, moving oil, minerals, and chemicals across international waters. And finally, the financial routes: hidden payment corridors using shell companies, hawala brokers, crypto mixers, and offshore banks, designed to hide the real owners. But here's the twist no one expects. Many of these routes aren't controlled by criminals alone. They are often maintained, protected, or quietly used by corporations, intelligence agencies, and governments themselves. When countries want to bypass sanctions, fund proxy wars, or move money discreetly, they use the same routes criminals use. That's the unspoken truth about illegal trade. It thrives because the powerful need it. Every major conflict in the past century has relied on illegal routes. Every cartel is quietly connected to someone with political influence. Every mysterious shipment has a buyer willing to pay for silence. The rise of modern globalization made illegal trade even harder to control. Cargo ships became larger, containers became standardized, and ports began processing millions of units each day. This created an impossible problem. Inspecting ABN, 5% of global shipments would destroy world trade. So authorities inspect only about 1 to 2% of containers worldwide. That means 98% of the global shipping system relies on trust, and criminals rely on that trust to slip their goods through unnoticed. A single container ship today can carry up to 24,000 containers, and a criminal network may need to hide only 1 or 2 among them. They use tactics like pencil routing, fake manifests, and transshipment through multiple ports to disguise the cargo's origin. They may load a container legally, add illicit goods in a free trade zone, and ship it to a country with weak inspections. From there, it enters global commerce with a clean origin. It's almost impossible to detect, but shipping is only one part of the network. On land, smugglers use mountains, deserts, rivers, and abandoned colonial roads that predate modern borders. In the Americas, criminal networks run supply chains more efficient than multinational corporations. They coordinate logistics using drones, encrypted radios, safe houses, and accountants. They use ant trails, dozens of small couriers, instead of one large shipment, to reduce a risk. And they use corruption as the lubricant that keeps every route open. In Africa, illegal routes track the paths of ancient trade. Gold travels through unregulated mines in Congo, passes through middlemen in Uganda, gets smuggled into Dubai, refined, and sold legally into global markets. Wildlife traffickers move ivory, pangolins, and exotic animals through multiple countries using bribes. Forged documents and legal loopholes created specifically to hide illegal cargo, and human traffickers follow these same paths, moving people through deserts, warehouses, and ports that law enforcement barely monitors. In Asia, the Golden Triangle refocused from opium to synthetic drugs cheaper, faster, and easier to hide. Chemical precursors come from one country, production happens in another, distribution in a third. Money moves through gambling hubs, crypto exchanges, and underground banks that operate like high-tech shadows of ancient hawala systems. Even when governments crack down, production simply shifts a few kilometers across the border. The network never disappears. It adapts. The Middle East remains the hub for illicit cash flows. Hawala brokers can move millions with no paper trail, no banks, and no digital footprint. What shocks most people is this: these brokers often handle money for legitimate businesses alongside criminals, creating a mix that's nearly impossible to untangle. Oil smugglers, arms dealers, and political militias all use the same payment channels, and when sanctions hit, entire countries depend on these underground routes to survive. But perhaps the most surprising part of modern illegal trade is that it no longer needs physical routes at all. Cybercriminals steal billions using phishing, ransomware, and digital scams. Fraudsters move money through crypto mixers, online casinos, and offshore wallets. Darknet markets, mere global supply chains, complete with customer service, refund policies, and wholesale discounts. The illegal economy has evolved into a hybrid system, part physical, part digital, all interconnected. The breaking point came in the 2000s, when technology allowed criminals to scale globally. Encrypted apps allowed instant coordination, anonymous shell companies allowed instant laundering, global shipping allowed instant distribution, and corruption ensured nobody stopped them. Law enforcement agencies responded by tightening regulations, increasing surveillance, and creating global task forces. But every solution created new loopholes. Crack down on cash, criminals move to crypto. Regulate crypto, criminals move to gift cards or shell companies. Shut down one smuggling route, another opens a few miles away. The fallout is immense. Illegal trade weakens governments, destabilizes economies, fuels conflict, and corrodes public institutions. But despite billions spent fighting it, the illegal economy continues to grow faster than the legal one in many regions. Because the system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as designed, and here is the most uncomfortable truth. Black markets don't exist because criminals are creative. They exist because the legal world leaves gaps and criminal networks simply fill them. Whenever there is prohibition, scarcity, inequality, or conflict, illegal trade expands. Whenever governments fight each other economically, illegal trade becomes a bridge that keeps money flowing. Whenever the powerful want something quietly, illegal routes become the solution. 3 lessons emerge from this hidden world. First, illegal trade is not disordered, it is a parallel order, a system governed by its own rules, incentives, and power structures. Second, criminal networks thrive not in chaos, but in the gray areas where law, corruption, and politics overlap. And third, you cannot understand the modern world without understanding its shadow side. The wars we see, the crises we fear, the instability we live through, they are all shaped directly or indirectly by the secret roots of global illegal trade. And so the question remains, if illegal trade moves billions every week, who is really in control? The criminals, the governments, the corporations, or someone else entirely? The deeper you look, the harder it becomes to tell them apart. If you want to understand the hidden financial systems behind crime, power, war, and global corruption, you're in the right place. This is the dark economy. Subscribe, ask your questions, and continue the investigation.